Bring it down just a little bit, guys. I just want to say one thing. Bring it down just a little bit. I just want to say, many times we come asking for something. We need a lot of things today, right? We need the gas prices fixed, right? Inflation. Talk back to me, y'all. Come on. We need a lot of things, you know, some extra money in the bank account. But right now, I'm not concerned with that. I just want to thank God for what I have today. Thank you, Master, for my soul, yeah. Thank you, Master, for my soul. Why? You gave me food to eat. You put shoes on my feet. And you kept me, yeah. Lord knows I haven't been so good this week, but you continue to bless me, yeah. And I just want to thank you. Oh, thank you, Master, yeah, for my soul, yeah. Said I thank you for my hands, thank you for my feet. Thank you for my soul. You didn't have to hear my mourning. You didn't have to hear my mourning. And you kept me. Lord knows I haven't done so good this week, but you continue to bless me. Hey. But most of all, I just wanna bless you. Said I thank you for my hands, thank you for my feet, and I thank you for my mind, Lord. Hey, much obliged to you, Master. Said I thank you I just want to thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for my soul. Thank you for my hands. Thank you for my feet. Thank you for my life. Thank you for my soul. And I just wanna thank you for my soul.
Good morning. All right, Harper. I think they call it, what is it that, especially on TV, they're about to show something, reveal something, they put up a warning statement. There's a little technical name for it. Disclaimer, well, something like that. It's called something else, but let me just do it. I have to warn you that this will be an X-rated message. I call it G-rated for God. It's a G-rated. And the reason for that is because it's personal, which means that it's about you. There was a lady who attended the church when I was in Oakland serving, by an understanding that I would be there 1 year as their minister to get them reestablished and going again. And there was a woman who came from over the bridge from San Francisco to Oakland, only for a few weeks. And at the end of the first service, she pulled me to the side. She said, let me tell you something. Anytime you have to say something to me personally, you tell it to me personally. And I could tell that the woman had an issue, so I said, yes, ma'am. And she came another couple of times, and I guess I was still being personal, putting her business in the street. This morning, I received a text from Viviana, who is one of the participants in the Tuesday night healing group, and I thought that she was going to be present. She said, blessing Reverend Ahman, I'm not going to be there. I'll be on Zoom for this morning's service. And then I sent her a text back saying, good morning, don't touch your device. You might get shocked. This is going to be electric. She sent me one back, and it was an X-rated message. She says, looking forward, I'm wearing my good pajamas. You know, I'm just putting her business in the street. You know, and so then I sent her a message back that I didn't send. I just realized that I didn't send it. And the reason is because I was interrupted by a phone call, and I was going to return to it. But what I said here and didn't send, I said, well, seriously though, I said, seriously though, I'm feeling a current flowing through me. And I went on and on and on and on, but what I want to let you know is that I'm feeling this current flowing through me, and it is the presence of God. Now, Reverend Lisa has a theme for the month, something happens when I pray. What we have to realize is that we are supposed to be different when it comes to religious settings, church settings. But what we've been talking about here is challenging ourselves to demonstrate, to prove who we are. We don't come here just to hear an inspirational message, nor do we come here to hear necessarily a sermon. Ours is supposed to be a teaching. What you will hear today is a teaching, not a teaching just to go back and take notes of it and read. No. Do it in the moment. Practice it in the moment. At the end of the service, not the message, and maybe after a few little details, we're going to conclude our experience today with a group prayer. And in that prayer, you are asked to participate and demonstrate. Whatever it is that you came in here to demonstrate, you should not always walk out of this door. Let me start with me. I, then you, and then we should not walk out of this door the same as we came in, or going back to the same old whatever it was that you left, that you knew you needed a change in before you. It should be changed when you go back. Right now, while you sit, there ought to be a change not only happening in your life, but in the life of that person you left at home, and in the life of everybody who touches you when they think on your name, because when they do, they touch the presence of God. That's what this message is about today. Luke chapter 8, verses 43 and 48 is about this woman who had an issue of blood for 12 years. But she said within herself, if I could but what? Touch the hem of his garment, I will be made whole. So when somebody thinks on your name, they have touched the hem of his garment, and they ought to be calling you saying, something happened. That's the consciousness that you leave here with today. My topic is stop the bleeding. So would you say that with me 3 times? Stop the bleeding. Stop the bleeding. Stop the bleeding. Now you are talking to yourself. You are talking to yourself. Whenever you are experiencing any problem in your life, you leave here today with a new declaration, affirmation of faith. You just speak to it. Stop the bleeding. Well, this is a lesson in truth on the power of decision. When you make a decision, the bleeding stops. But this decision has nothing to do, it transcends belief or just thinking about it. Today you're going to learn for the first time in your life what decision means. From a spiritual perspective, not from Webster's dictionary. We do like the Trump woman said, you know, we develop our own alternative facts. You know, we make up our own definitions. That's what you're getting today is a spiritual definition of this word decision, but you understand what decision is by first understanding what indecision is. What indecision is unbelief. This story is about faith healing. How this woman healed herself by faith. Indecision is unbelief. So you have to make a decision to let go of whatever you think the problem is. You do not let go of the problem. You have to let go of what you think the problem is, and in that you heal or change your belief. This Bible illustration teaches how to heal your mind of long-standing sickness, long-standing problems, long-standing issues, and most of all, long-standing situations. But it's got to be a real situation. All right? And you do this by making a decision. But see, making a decision and then making your decision has a conjunction there. Making a decision and then, until you do the and then, the decision is incomplete. It's just a thought. It's just something hanging out there. Making a decision is incomplete until you do the and then that goes with the decision. And that's where the problem is. Making a decision, all right, and then what? Taking action. Faith without works is dead. Taking action. Faith without works is dead. Taking action. Taking action on what? On that decision. Before the then. Taking action on that decision with the faith. Yes, what's the and then? With the faith that God has already done. Right, Mr. Love? Has already done what? Already done completely. This is what faith is. I'm defining faith. This is what faith is. That God has already done what? God has already completely, fully, and has done everything, taken care of everything that goes on after that decision that is involved with that decision, so that not only your desires and needs are met, but here's where our problem is. And here's where the lack of faith comes in. Here's where the stuff is, that so are the needs of everybody else that's involved in this decision. But that's where the hang-up is with the woman who was healed with the issue of blood. So it is the unknown factor in that solution for others involved in your decision that can cause procrastination in your taking the action. What action? The action that you know your decision requires to make an actual decision, and so you are left wavering in thought. I wonder if everybody, you see, you ought to have gotten that, because I didn't rush through it. I was painstaking, I was slow, I covered everything. But the rest of this message is repeating what I just said in different ways, in different sentences. It's teaching you how not to be double, for a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let him ask nothing of God, you don't get nothing. That's what the Bible, that was a scripture. You can't be double-minded, you have to be single-minded. See, you're asking the question is, you're questioning the solution. And you're not ready to accept the solution. You got qualifiers on it, you got the conditions on it, you want it to be in your way. You don't want to accept the outcome because you don't know what it's going to be. And it's not always what you want. God's will is God's will. God's way is God's way. God's desires for you are God's desires for you. But not only for you, but that nephew, that niece, that son, that daughter, that in-law, that whatever. You can't tell God how this stuff is going to work out. Sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it is. Khalil Gibran, the poet, says, you don't know your joy from your sorrow. So indecision then leaves you in a state of fear of the unknown. How will this person react, and how is this going to affect my so-and-so and so? This message is about close relatives. The messages that will come after here is about other stuff and other people. I'm dealing with close relatives today. So this leaves you in a mental and an emotional state of mind, which then manifests as what we call symbolically, representatively, bleeding, or various symptoms in your health and in life in general. So y'all give thanks to our Tuesday night group and our Tuesday night class with this message, because this is the final lesson of about 6, 7, or 8 lessons or more on Tuesday nights, where this is the culmination. This is the closing of a theme, practice the presence of God, under this topic from Luke chapter 8. We've been on Luke chapter 8 for all those weeks. And so you'll understand now what I'm talking about by stop the bleeding, because the woman who had the issue of blood for 12 years was bleeding for 12 years. But finally she took an action that stopped the bleeding. Before I read this, the few verses there, those 3 verses or 4 verses, 40, it must be 5 verses. I'm going to go back to the Old Testament. That's the New Testament. And we're going to pull out a foundation of this understanding that Jesus learned from Abraham, because this is Jesus' action in Luke. In Genesis chapter 13, it says, Abram went up from Egypt to Negev with his wife and everything he had, and Lot went with him. Have you ever heard the expression, you're a lot in life? Here's the origin of it. Here's the genesis of it. You're a lot in life. Comes from this story in the scripture. Now Lot, who was moving about with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, but the land could not support them while they stayed together, for their possessions were so great that they were not able to stay together, and quarreling arose between Abram's herds and Lot's. Herders and Lots. Quarreling, anger, fighting. Your in-laws. Your mom and your daddy. Here you grown, there's stuff going on. Nieces and nephews and relatives and close people. Disagreement. I know you don't have no disagreement in your home and in your family. You don't have no disputes and conflicts and rebellions and tensions and struggles and discords and all that stuff, because you're religious scientists. This is for people you know, by the way. So Abram said to Lot, let's not have any quarreling between you and me, or between your herders and mine, for we're close relatives. Is not the whole land before you? Let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left. In other words, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm tired of going to the doctor. I'm tired of these lab reports. I'm tired of these MRIs. I'm tired of these CAT scans. I'm tired of these procedures. And now they got me wanting to do a bypass. Man! I'm tired of all quarreling. Something's got to change to keep on doing the same old thing, the same old way, and I'm coming back. I have no peace. So He made a decision. Do you see here? He made a decision. So it's not the whole land before. I'm giving up this stuff. This stuff is not that important to me. I'm going to give this up for my peace. You go to the left, I'll go to the right. You go to the right, I'll go to the left. So Lot chose, so Lot got up. Lot stopped quiet. He said, well, that's all I wanted. So Lot chose for himself the whole land of the Jordan and set out toward the east. The two men parted company. Abram let go of Lot. Lot did not let go of Abram. Your problem don't hold on to you. You hold on to your problem. Drugs don't hold on to you. You hold on to drugs. Addiction don't hold on to you. You hold on to addiction. Poverty don't hold on to you. You hold on to poverty. Homelessness don't hold on to you. You hold on to homelessness. High blood pressure don't hold on to you. You hold on to high blood pressure. Blood disease don't hold on to you. You hold on to it. So the Lord said to Abram after Lot had parted from him, after Abram had made a decision, what did the Lord say to him? He said, look around from where you are, to the north and to the south, to the east and to the west. All the land that you can see I will give to you and your offspring forever. Go, walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you because you made a decision to let Lot go. So Abram went to live near the great trees of Mamre at Hebron, where he pitched his tents, and there he built an altar to the Lord. He was at peace. So this is a lesson in the power of decision. This is a lesson in understanding the miracle that is awaiting you in the power of touching the presence of God. Because Abram touched the presence of God. The purpose of this lesson is to lift your consciousness to a higher spiritual vibration, where something happens when I pray. When something happens when you pray. This vibration, which is the presence of God, that you have to realize by imagining that you are in the presence of God when right now. And here in the presence of God, you are touching the hem of his garment through your belief by faith. The vibration that we're in right now, which is the presence of God, is a state of mind. A state of mind, a state of consciousness that I know. I know, and I know, and I know that I know that I am the Father of one. This vibration, this presence that we're in is where anything can happen. And I'm not afraid of what's on the other side of this decision that I'm going to make today. So right now you need to be thinking about a decision that you will make to let go of something or somebody or some issue. Whatever you've been thinking that is the cause, you have to let it go, because it is the belief that's healed, not the thing. All right. So Abraham of the Old Testament gave the law, which is what religion is. Some people say, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. Bunk. We are religious and spiritual in the right way at the right time. So Abraham gave the law to teach how to have faith in God. That's religion. What do you mean you're not religious? You don't need religion. Why is your organization called Religious Science? The church are religion. The church are religious science. And you get in here and want to be, sophisticated. put some other down just to lift yourself up don't make no sense. The law is necessary. It helps you to have faith in God. But now along comes Jesus, bringing in the New Testament consciousness. He came, he said, I didn't come to destroy the law, to take away religion. I came to fulfill the law by religion. I came to teach you how to use the law by demonstrating the law right in your presence so that you may have the faith of God after having the faith in God. And this story in Luke chapter 8 about the woman is about how you can demonstrate the faith of God from your understanding of your faith in God, both. So there are churches and there are teachings who only teach about the faith in God, and they don't teach about the faith of God. That's what separates old traditional teaching from new thought teaching, is the in and the of. But when you start demonstrating of, transcending in, they call you something, but they're all kinds of different names. So the story is for us less about Jesus, as they teach, and more about the woman. You got that? This story is more about the woman than it is about Jesus, because Jesus wants you to look at the woman, not at him, so that he can teach you. Now you can do the same thing this woman is doing. This that is happening through this woman can happen through you if you practice as she practiced, if you do as she did. That's what the story is about. So all Bible stories are about some aspect of your life at some time or some phase of your life that you have experienced, that you are experiencing, or that you will experience. So let me read the story. And as they went, a woman who wanted to be healed came up behind and touched him. For she had been slowly bleeding for 12 years like your cousins, and could not find no cure, though she had spent everything she had on doctors. For she said within herself, this tells you that this is a metaphor. It is not something that literally happened. This is a spiritual, psychological drama of what is going on in your mind. And it shows you the results of what happened, how you can change any stuff by being still, being silent, and going within. It says, for she said within herself, if I may but touch his garment, I shall be whole. But she said within herself, if I may touch his garment, I shall be made whole. I didn't write this in here, but there's that word but. It says, but the instant. See, it don't take all that. This is what happens after the decision. There's the then. Then what do you do after the decision? The decision is incomplete until after the but and the then. You got to do something. Faith without works is dead. Right here. But the instant. So healing takes place instantaneously. Before you go back to the doctor, before you go home, before you get up, before you see any material evidence on the outside. It's already done instantly. Now you just got to catch up with it on the outer. It says, but the instant she touched the hem of his garment, whew, the cancer was gone. High blood pressure was regulated. The mind of the person who's been causing a mess in your life has been changed. The bleeding stopped. That's what it says, the bleeding stopped. Who touched me? Jesus asked. How does he know somebody touched him? A whole crowd of people around, just pushing through. And Peter said, Master, are you asking us? All these people crowding around you and you asking us who touched you. But Jesus, he said, but here's another but. Verse 46 starts off with but. But Jesus told him, no, 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 no. I'm not making this up. I don't write this. I read it. But Jesus told him no. It was someone. Out of all these crowd of people pushing through, Jesus said, no, it was someone. Now here comes faith. Here comes faith. Faith walking. It was someone who deliberately, that's what faith is. Hey, hey, hey. Faith is speaking your word with deliverability. I don't know. Deliberately. Deliberately means with expectation. That's what faith is. Deliberately, with hope. Deliberately, with certainty. Deliberately, unequivocating. With certainty. No doubt. Wow. If I can just touch his. See, the crowd were pushing through for Jesus to touch them. Because they heard about the miracle working power of this man and that Jesus can heal. They were pushing towards Jesus because they believed in Jesus. They never been to one of our churches because they thought it was a cult. Because you can do what God does. You got the power of God to heal you. Nah, I don't believe that stuff. I'm going to go where they can. Jesus can heal me. Ain't nothing wrong with that because I've seen it happen. Seen many people healed that way. I don't put nothing down, but I'm just picking this up. Shut up. Woo! Yes, right? Who deliberately touched me. For I felt. See, when you touch the presence of God, God, the law, this energy responds and something goes out of it. And then the woman realized that Jesus knew. She fell to her knees before him, told him why she had touched him, and that now she was, well, y'all go ahead on with the crowd. Work with the crowd. I'm healed. And told him that I am healed now. So Jesus, who knew consciousness thoroughly, knew the power of blind faith to change the consciousness from a belief of sickness to a belief of health, said, therefore he knew that the woman had healed herself. I didn't write this. I'm reading this. The woman had healed herself. That's what your Bible says. It didn't say God healed her. The woman had healed herself through her own blind faith. And this is how God healed her. Through her own faith. And so he said to her, daughter, be of good comfort. Your faith, not my faith, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. All right? So, well, the lesson is about why she could not find cure. Why you haven't found cure. Why your cousin has not found cure. And how she healed herself by changing her belief into faith, by acting on her belief. And it's a lesson on why the doctors could not heal what they could not see, which was her mental, emotional, psychological state. Your medical doctors can't see that. They're listening to what you say, but what you ain't saying is my nephew is getting on my nerves. Fill in the blank. It ain't what you eating, it's what's eating you. So in the meantime, the bleeding continued, and she could not stop the debilitating, the hemorrhaging, the draining, the sapping, the depleting, consuming, exhausting, and weakening symptoms. Fill in the blank. So, the psychological condition that was the root cause of her condition, let's get into it. Spiritual, psychological drama of your own mind is what the story is. Self-healing is what the story is all about. What was the root cause of Abraham's problem and this woman's problem? One word I said at the very first sentence when I stepped up here: indecision. Indecision is the basis or the foundation of unbelief. Lord, I believe. Heal thine mind, what? Unbelief. What is unbelief? This story is about faith healing, how the woman's faith healed her. So unbelief is the absence of faith. The woman was in a temporary state of mind. Remember, she was religious. But it happens, it doesn't matter how spiritually advanced you become or think you are, how much you think you know, there will always come a time when you will slip into those temporary states of separation where you need help. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you need to reach out to Jesus and you want the touch of Jesus, I'm going for Jesus. He said, heretofore you have not asked nothing in my name. Oh, well, I'm calling on your name now. But I understand what your name means. It means come on up and step into this consciousness of faith and do it like I do it in his name. Do it in my manner in his name, in his nature in his name. So faith is belief in action. The Bible story is clearly a spiritual, psychological drama. Keep that in mind. That is a metaphor that illustrates and even demonstrates the dynamics of mental, emotional healing that can be self-applied to heal yourself from long-standing diagnosed as well as undiagnosed conditions, circumstances, situations, problems, and sicknesses. How? Let's go back to the beginning. By making a decision to take action. Not when you get home. Not when you get to your car. Not when you stand up out of these seats. Right now. Stop procrastinating. Make a decision that you already believe and know. See, you already know what you need to do. Thank you for the light. You already know what you need to let go of. You already know what you need to say to so-and-so. You already know, but there's a fear of doing what you already know. And this is the cause of emotional stress in life that is sometimes called your lot in life. Now, if you do not make a decision to take the action that you already know that will change, correct, or resolve the situation, then the bleeding continues. This is the definition of indecision, the underlying cause of unbelief, which is the absence of faith. And so the woman was paralyzed in a state of fear, not knowing what lies on the other side of her decision. I'm being redundant. And what is the fear? She's afraid to trust God. That God is smart enough, intelligent enough, capable of resolving this matter in a way that is God's perfect will and way for everybody. Get out of God's way. Get out of God's business. If somebody's butt's going to get kicked by a comet, that's theirs. You got to let them go. You can't stand in the way of other people's karma. And karma is always good and perfect. Judge not according to appearances. Let it go, let it happen. Mind your own business. That's what we're afraid of, dealing with these close relatives. The woman experienced this bleeding for 12 years until she decided to take the action to change her belief about what? About what she thought was going on. About what she thought was going on. And this is the cause of every individual's issue of blood. So this story being about yourself, let's go through the keys here in this story. The woman symbolizes the soul or the subjective mind. What's going on in your subjective mind? What's going on in your subconscious, and all of your memories and all of your thoughts and all of your worries and all of that stuff going on. That's the woman. That's what's going on in your subconscious mind. Active mental tendencies going on in your mind. The blood symbolizes the substance and the essence of life. And whatever is going on, those mental tendencies registers in your blood, which is the life of man, and shows up as issues. The issue of blood, the issues are effects. The likeness of your thoughts manifesting in what the doctors call this and this and this and what stuff, all unwanted conditions. Bleeding symbolizes long-standing indecision, inertia, or apathy that leads to inaction, and this results in those outer symptoms of disharmony. 12 years is a metaphor for a long time, too long. Look at you. Look in the mirror. All those worry lines. Too long. Stuff just done broke you down and bankrupted you. Too long. So Jesus' garment symbolizes a state of mind, a healing consciousness, and the touch is a metaphor for a point of contact. Jesus was just a point of contact for her. And to touch the hem is to act on your belief, which does something. When you touch the presence of God through your faith, he says, I felt something go out from me. It activates the faith. And the bleeding stop symbolizes a decision made. But then she heard that Jesus was near. Simply means that she rose up in consciousness and touched the presence, which is always near, closer than the breath that you breathe. And as she went, she took some action. She made a decision. As she went, she made a decision. And she pressed through the crowd of thoughts. The crowd of thoughts. She pressed through all of the negative and all of the doubt and all of the unbelief. Which means she was finally realizing that she was not a victim, pressing through the crowd of thoughts. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Not a victim of her hurts in life. And as she went, she made a decision. And she listed everything that she was forgiving herself first. All of the blame she listed, she let go. Everything that she knew she needed to remove from her body, that she needed to remove from life. And then decision and action. Not when I get home, right now. Not when you go talk to somebody. No, talk to them in your mind right now. And suddenly the bleeding stopped, which means suddenly a peace came upon her, a peace that passeth all understanding. And her symptoms disappeared. She looked at her hands. And what? Y'all ain't been to church? She looked at her hands, and her hands looked new. She looked at her feet, and they did too. She couldn't explain it. She went to the doctor, and the doctor said, what's going on? Your blood pressure is normal. It's never been this way before. She went to the specialist, and the specialist said, whatever you're doing, keep on doing. She went to, she looked at her calendar, and she said, I ain't going for that procedure. I don't need it no more. Well, I just don't. The doctors were calling and saying, you're not showing up for your appointment. She said, I'm all right. Because she made a decision. All of these elements of faith were working synergistically all at the same time. And she just couldn't understand it. But now something had happened in her mental state. She had shifted from being a religious person to a spiritual person. Amen. And so it is.
Oh, there's a woman in the Bible days. She had been sick so very long. Well, she heard about Jesus was passing by, so she joined the gathering throng. And while she was pushing her way through, someone asked her, what are you trying to do? She said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, you know I will be made whole. She said, oh, whoa, Lord. She said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, you know I will be made whole. She spent her last Monday till she had no more money to spend. The doctors they keep on through, but the medicine didn't do good. She said, if I could just touch it with his garment, you know I will be made whole. Oh, Lord, She said, if I could just touch it with his garment, you know I will be made whole.